We started recording at Mark's house, I guess in '98, probably, when we started recording songs for Suitcase, which was our first CD. Can't remember how we ever decided we were going to record that. I even had an 8-track digital recorder, which we still use to this day. And I guess Mark offered his house as somewhere we could go for a weekend and record.
We laid out camp beds in our attic, which is a very large attic. And when the chaps arrived, the children had put biscuits out for them, and they all bagged their camp beds and were settled down. It was like having a dormitory of chaps at school. It was great fun. And then actually during the recordings it worked really well. We were blessed with brilliant weather, so that some of us would be outside sunning ourselves, or I remember Saul playing football a lot. So there's an ongoing football match all the time we were there. And then the recording would go on very intensively in the lounge or in our dining room.
And what it meant was that we'd go down to a pub on a Friday night to his local, we'd get up, we'd set up, his wife would cook us lunch and dinner, and we'd go to the pub in the evening, and then we'd record Saturday and half of Sunday, and then usually get the train back to London on Sunday afternoon. It was very pleasant, and I think, I don't know how many times we went there, maybe 3, 4, I can't remember. A lot of the time it was nice weather as well, so certainly there were a couple of times where, in the summer we would sit back in this big garden and drink and eat, and it almost seemed like, oh, I've got to go back to recording now, I guess.
And I think they were some of the most creative times as well, because in that relaxed atmosphere we were able to come up with new ideas, and we got to work together well, and come up with little riffs or melody lines that were going to succeed. Or even while we were sitting in the pub, we came up with a lot of ideas for songs.
And it was almost like the Blackwells were living the Monkeys' dream, because we had a house to ourselves where we were chilling out and making music and just having a great time together as a group of guys.
We'd like to play you a song about me, my woman, and our suitcase.
It was very exciting getting Suitcase finally, the finished CD. I mean, I'd really been looking forward to it, thinking, wow, finally, because I'd never had a lot sort of, and a CD as well. There's something professional about CD. Anyone can make a tape. We'd had the demo tape, which certainly fine, but it's still a tape. But CD, CD's a CD, and Belinda, Mark's wife, had done all the designs, and they looked great, and we're getting the CD properly pressed, and it would be like the CD itself would have a label on it, and it would look completely like a CD you buy in the shops. It would look professional. And so when we got it back, it was great.
To listen to it, just sit down and chill out and just listen to what we created, I think was absolutely brilliant, and a real thrill.
I thought it had a tremendous variety of songs on. Well, it does have a tremendous variety of songs on. And of course some of the songs had come from the Shorty's early days, so it did cover quite a time period. And it was a good reflection of the work that they had done up to that period.
It's not as good as the later stuff, but I still think it stands up.
Got a few gremlins in the works today, it seems.
The Monkeys convention in '98, which we did 2 years after the one in '96, was again out east, I think in Barking this time, even further out east. To be honest, I really enjoyed the first one, and it was good fun. The second one was, I think, a bit of a pain from start to finish.
We had a few mishaps on the afternoon. That Aidan had a dodgy G-string, which I'll say no more on that. And he kept retuning his guitar, and it kept going out, and between every song.
This is called tuning.
Because it was a really hot day. It's really hot in there, so that was affecting all the instruments, and obviously affecting the drums as well. And Mal's amp blew up halfway through a song.
Over a house full of Christian daughters, and late at night I made a break for the end of the slaughter. But I'm glad to see that the world spins about us. It cannot explain the mind is not focused.
And then first song into the second set, I bust the top string.
And it just wasn't good, and no one was really into it. We had some of our fans along, and they, they enjoyed it, which I'm glad about. But the rest of the crowd, the other 70% of the crowd, just sat there stony faced. And I don't think we were very good. So probably, to be fair to them, they turned up expecting a band, probably expecting them to do a smooth run through of the Monkees classics, and what they got was us and malfunctioning equipment and technical glitches and pretty lackluster performance.
We had a whale of a time.
For being great.
We'd all like Dan for being great. And Dan in his Eric Morecambe shorts. From the band that's about to become
I recognise those shorts.
We drove down early, beautiful sunny day, found the venue, which was like a sort of valley in the middle of part of Harlow Newtown. There was a big stage there, and the idea is that the audience would sit on rugs and things all around the valley. It really was like an outdoor pop concert. It was a hot day, and we all started off completely dressed normally, including Aidan. But during the show, he gradually took items of clothing off. First of all, it was a sort of sweatshirt, and then he took his t-shirt off as well, so that he was there with a completely naked torso. Anyway, we didn't know where this was going to end, but we thought it certainly excited the audience.
I seem to remember they didn't have much idea about the sound, and again, you only really hear this until people tell you, or you watch the video afterwards, because the monitor you get on stage is often very different to what the people in the audience are hearing. But Aidan's guitar was just like so much louder than every other instrument.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I usually work and follow with the bass guitar quite closely in the rhythm part of the band, so not being able to hear that, just hearing Aidan's delightful rhythm guitar was a little difficult, and the audience probably heard just that, so they may have thought it was an Aidan Sewington solo gig. Perhaps they enjoyed it, who knows.
I decided quite early on in my tenure in the Shorty Blackwells that I felt, once Liam came back, I'd be happy to leave, because though it gave me a good chance to start playing in front of people and start a bit of recording as well, I realised pretty early on that what I wanted to play and what the other guys wanted to play were probably two separate things.
Mal left soon after Liam got back. We did one gig, that was the Bull & Gate gig, with both Mal and Liam. Mal knew fine well he'd probably be leaving when Liam got back, and was under no pretence that there'd be other way, and he was quite happy to stay, and we still remain in touch with him, and he played with us in the summer.
It was great that they gave me the chance to get in front of people and strut my funky stuff, as it were. But I felt, that once Liam came back, I would bow out and do my own thing.
I think, when Liam came back after his time in Japan, I think we kind of, just before that, got to perhaps, we'd done what we could as that sort of incarnation of the Blackwells with Mal and Mark in. Not to dismiss their contribution at all, but that perhaps we'd taken it as far as we could go in that particular sense and that format. So Liam coming back was excellent because it was like a new. It was like new wind coming back. It was a breath of fresh air.
We had, I think, got quite set into a routine, to a formula, and the two guitars were doing pretty much exactly the same thing. We were having two guitars because there were two guitarists. They were doing the same thing. Liam immediately came. He said, "That's not working. It's repetitious. It's uncreative. There's so much more you can do." Then Dan said, "Well, why don't we get an electroacoustic?"
So then I bought a semi-acoustic, but that was Dan's suggestion actually, which was good, and we did do that, and that made a big difference. And even before we did that, actually, I used an acoustic effect. And I think we tried to make sure that the two guitars were not both just whacking out chords, and those were the main. I think the main changes, yes, after we came back from Japan.
I think brought us back to a more of a sort of shared vision. I mean, I've said that we do have eclectic styles and tastes, and that's true. But perhaps on Mooks, for example, that had become not so wide as to make it a bad record, but it was wide enough with the possibility that it might become too disparate. So Liam was very positive in sort of focusing it a bit more